Hello, everyone, and welcome to Venus in Gemini, episode 1. I am dropping this episode in honor of a day that is very special to me, which is Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, I feel like, can get a little bit of a bad rap because people say it's commercialized, it's about cards and candy and all of this. But when I was in my mid-20s, it took on a really special meaning to me because I said, why shouldn't this be a day to celebrate how much you love life and how much you love yourself and how much you love anybody who you're doing this crazy journey with? And I decided to go all in. So since that year, every year, I like to do something special for whoever I'm hanging out with at that time. Friends, family, make little flower bouquets, maybe make some chocolate covered strawberries and just make a playlist and talk about how much we love love. And I thought that this would be a great time to drop the podcast because the podcast being called Venus in Gemini and Venus being goddess of love, of peace, of equilibrium. I was like, ooh, wouldn't that be a cute fit? So we'll talk about what Venus in Gemini means in a minute. But underneath the root of it, I wanted to make a podcast about all of the things really that Valentine's Day is about for me. Just about how do we fall and stay in love with life, with ourselves, with the version of us that we were, with the version of us that we're becoming, and really honor the journey with a sense of awe and enthusiasm and passion and engagement, which isn't always easy. So also, I wanted to create something that could be a support for people if you're going through a patch where that feels a little bit stickier and a little bit less accessible. And what I'm describing some things that I love and that help me stay enthusiastic and engaged with life. And I wanted to create a space to talk to a whole bunch of people about the things that make them feel enthusiastic about and engaged with life, in the hopes that if you're listening, there could be a little bit of something for everyone to hear and maybe resonate with and maybe see themselves in to expand their idea of what's possible. So if you're listening to this, I hope that this can be a companion for you to feel joy, to listen and feel like you're hanging out with a friend and get inspired. I love to get inspired, whether it's getting inspired about something new, a new idea that you might like to take on for yourself, or getting re-inspired, remembering something about yourself that you already know that you'd like to add a little bit more into the mix. I've tried to gather up some people who have been doing something, anything that they love for a pretty long time. I've been aiming for about 10 years or so. So people who have a hobby, have a career, have a relationship, something that they love that they have been doing for a while. Not because I think having done it for about 10 years makes it better, but because I wanted to capture some wisdom in the way of people being able to really speak to pitfalls, the sticky times, that when you stick with something for a while, it's going to be hard sometimes and you won't feel so in love with it all the time. But that doesn't mean that you don't love it and that it's not a part of your life worth keeping. I was interested in hearing those perspectives because I think when I started out on this journey of looking for that sort of thing in my own life, and at this point I can say some of the things I have found myself to be in love with that I've been at for a long time are physical practices like Pilates and yoga. I kind of am a self-help junkie. I love self-improvement. I love therapy. I've been in therapy about 10 years now. I love acting. I love astrology. And these are all hobbies / parts of my career that I've been practicing for about 10 years. And when I started out looking for those things, I was coming from a place where I was feeling a little bit less certain about who I felt myself to be. And I was looking to define that for myself more at that point in my life, which was my early to mid 20s. And I felt if I'm going to set an anchor in some things, I want it to be things that are really lighting me up. Like this feeling that I decided to have Valentine's Day give me around that time. And I thought of things that I had always been kind of interested in or that I was feeling really interested now. And I was like, no matter what, I am going to find a way to make those happen and be a part of my life and bring more and more of that in. And I was looking to other people who had done that, looking for teachers, looking for mentors, looking for guides who I saw had dropped an anchor in something that they seemed to feel passionate about it and stuck with it because I wanted to do that in my own life. And the benefits of that have been pretty enormous for me, which is what made me interested in interviewing basically the sort of mentors that I've been able to study with in my mid to late 20s. Now, taking all of that love, gooey Valentine's Day, if you're listening to this on February 13th, I hope you do something really nice for yourself. My recommendation is making or buying a little sweet treat. And I really love to watch the movie Valentine's Day. My girl, Taylor Swift, is in there. I think she does a great job playing her part in this really silly, ridiculous movie. But God, it is just a feel-good film. And I think we all could use a little bit of that anytime, and especially here in the dead of what has been a really cold winter with a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. So that's our Valentine's Day bit of it. The Venus in Gemini part, as we already talked about, Venus, this goddess of peace, love, equilibrium, the arts. In your astrology chart, wherever you have Venus, kind of tells you about where in your life you can kind of invest to feel those things. In my chart, Venus is in Gemini, and I loved this name for the podcast, even though the podcast is not about astrology. I like this part of my chart. It's a part of my chart that I'm like, ooh, fun. Because Venus in Gemini is about finding peace, equilibrium, harmony in one's life through being curious, storytelling, learning and trying new things, talking and listening and getting deep with people, being surprised, doing your best to not get bored, and taking responsibility in your life for not getting bored. Which is another thing that I'm aiming to do on this podcast. I want us all to be entertained. So, with that being said, our first guest after this will be my longtime astrology teacher and someone I consider a mentor and somebody that a lot of people reference as having a strong similarity to Albus Dumbledore. Stephen Forrest is an incredible evolutionary astrologer, and he talks a little bit about Valentine's Day in the podcast too, which is why I thought it would be a first fun episode. And let me see, do I have anything else in my notes about Gemini and Venus here? Yes. Venus being really relational, and Gemini wants to keep relationships interesting, growing, and changing, which I expect that as I figure out what this podcast is about, we'll probably do a lot of growing and changing together too. And if you're listening, I am so grateful for you for having the openness to consider going on this journey with me, to really help reinforce as we're in this a little bit of a crazy time in the world and things are changing at such a rapid pace. I'm hoping to help bolster the good and to really invest my energy and my heart into good stuff like love, love and caring and relationships and things that spark joy and help connect us to nature and to our bodies and to each other. And I feel really so strongly about that and so excited to have a new medium to do it through. So thank you so much for listening and for taking the time to try that out with me and for probably being someone who also wants to see that in the world and for the part that you're doing in helping to build the world that you want to see and be the change that you want to see in the world. Keep on keeping on. I hope that you find whatever it is that you're looking for, or whatever it is that you want to feel, and whoever it is that you want to become, or just feel a little bit less lonely in whoever it is that you already are and love being. Onward, onward into the amazing fog. We go together. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.